Hi there, it's Jacqui from Paws from Wildlife, and I'm going to show you how to set up a pod. So this is a brand new pod, and I've had a lovely lady come and sew this edging strip on. So this has gone on the front, and this is basically going to hold the front open as your kangaroos grow. So I've got two sizes. I've got a small one, probably doesn't need this, but we've sewn it on anyway just in case towards the time the roos get a little bit bigger and start to hop in and out. It's very easy for them to squash it, and then once they've squashed it down they can't get in. So having something to support the front is really good. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a pod. Inside here is a rather thin type of cushion. It's not ideal and it doesn't do the job properly. So what I do is I put some of this vet bed inside. This is really quite thick, and this creates a really nice soft landing surface for when the kangaroos roll in. And there you can get, this is a grey one, there's white ones, there's brown ones, you can get them in all colours. They're very expensive. If you don't have these, then the next best thing is really a mattress topper, and then just cut it to size. Take the bottom of the pod out and just cut around this. But a topper, one of those mattress toppers, cut is ideal because that has that spongy memory foam, and that would make an ideal base as well. So either vet bed or use a memory foam. Don't put a towel in there. A towel is too dense. When they roll in it, they can actually it doesn't cushion their bones. And remember that these little joeys are pretty soft, and they're going to be very small when they're in these pods when they start off. And you can put pinkies in here, because on the smaller pods we can actually put the heat pad inside. And then once you fill this with blankets, it's really a really cozy, warm environment for them, and they grow up in these pods. So as far as they're concerned, the pods have become their pouches. And the beauty of these is that they've all got handles, so you can actually carry these and take these anywhere. They'll go in the car. Once the front is on and the front's secure, you can actually put the safety belt around the base here, and it actually does hold really nicely. So if you have to move your joeys to work or whatever, it's ideal. Don't worry about the fur in these, because when I make this up you'll see why. Now with these you'll need a blanket. These are the Kmart blankets, the blue and the pink ones. These are absolutely brilliant, because if the animal wheezes on this, it actually soaks through and stays dry. So these are absolutely brilliant. When the kangaroos are very small, when the joeys are pinkies, folded in half, these make excellent. They do keep the little pinkies dry. Now underneath these I use blueies. Blueies are expensive, and I get through loads of these. So it's up to you. There is another way of saving the blueies, but you will be washing, and that is you go and buy these pads. These again came out $15 for two of them. These are blueies, but these are reusable. So ultimately you just cut out again the shape a little bit more if you want to. You can put two pieces of elastic on and then slide this on so it's held in place. But if the animals again or the joeys wee on it, the wee stays in here and away from the animal, so you don't get any wee burns if they wee overnight and you don't pick it up until the following morning. When the joeys are little, it's fine, because you're going to be changing their linen all the time, and so every time they need a feed you'll change them. But once they get a little bit older, you are trying to leave them to sleep, and you want to make sure that ultimately they can sleep if they wee, that you're protecting their skin. Okay, let's get on and show you how to load these up. So the first thing, I have had a lovely lady, and she's obviously sewn this beautiful ridge on. This is a little pocket in here, and basically we've got some nice plastic conduit that you can get from Bunnings. You get it in a roll like this, and basically you just measure it around your frame, and then you just cut it to size, and then just thread it through, and that will form your circle. Anything else, we have used black plastic retic pipe, but it actually bends and twists and breaks. This stuff holds firm, so it's much nicer. I'll just get this put in, and then I'll show you how to do the rest. Okay, so once you've got your bit of pipe in, if you just make sure that you have made it a little bit too big, so it sort of has a little bit of an overlap here, because if I grab this and I push that like that, you can see that it really makes the whole thing very round and very rigid. So you really need it rigid for what I'm going to show you for its use that it's going to serve. So you want this to actually poke out, so you should have a ring on the outside of your bag, because what we're going to do is once the actual roo bag is over the top of this, we're actually going to put a piece of elastic round to hold it in place, so the roos can jump in and out and not disturb the inside of the bag. So basically they can get in and out, and it doesn't pull the whole insides out. So let me finish this off and I'll come back to you. Okay, so as you can see, that's the join there, but the actual two bits of plastic meet down here. So I've just molded these through, so they're actually down here a little bit. Now I've just noticed we've got a little hole there, so I'll put some stitching in there and just sort that out. Okay, so that's what you do. So you've got a nice good round front, and especially on these bigger bags for these larger roos right now. So the smaller roos you don't need to really have the plastic in, but for the larger roos you do, because they unfortunately will be jumping in and out of these, and that's what you want them to do. So you have to make sure that these are going to serve their purpose and be good in a practical sense for the roos to get in and out of. Right, so let's look at how you get all the stuff inside. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I pull the inside out, and then we're going to work on this. So we take our bluey and we put a bluey on top, like so. Okay, just make sure you know that the round edge is at the front, so just make sure you know where your front is. This is Alira's trying to put this in backwards. So bluey on this just to protect this pad, because if you just don't want it to get wet, then put your your piece of vet bed on the top, or whatever you've got, so that forms a really nice spongy top. Then what I do is I actually put another bluey. Now technically, if anything happens and this bluey slips, then the vet bed will get wet, but you've got a saving grace because you've got a bluey under here. So bluey on the top here, and then one of these blankets on the top. And when the roos are little, you'll double these up, but when they're quite large you can just have a single, because chances are it's very rare you get a wet bed, because they normally jump out. But sometimes you get a really lazy roos that can't be bothered to get up at night and do pee in their beds. But you'll probably find more pellets than anything in the beds. So you just tuck that in like that, and then what I do is I lift that whole thing up and then put it into the bag. So you just lift this up and push it in. I'll just do that now and we'll come back. Okay, so now you've got a really good squidgy, nice base in here. They can roll over and they can't hit the ground. It's really quite soft and fluffy in there, and they can shape it to their body shape, so it's quite nice. Nothing firm, that's why if you put a towel in here, it just makes it too firm, and you don't want them, they are going to be lying on their side, so you don't want them cutting their blood supply off from their limbs. They're when they're with their mums obviously are getting up. These are not, you're not getting up with these. They'll always be on the sides. When they're small joeys, I actually, every single time I feed them, I rotate them so they're always one side then the other. They're not lying on the same side all the time. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to put another bluey in here. So this is where one of those top pads work out really well if you want to cut one of those up, or you can use a bluey. This bluey here is going to be the one that you're constantly changing. So this one will get wet if there's any problems, and also if it gets dirty or anything like that, you can just pull this out and your bag is always clean. So this will be the only one that really takes all the punishment, hopefully. So you can either do it with a piece of the bluey cloth sheet, or you can do it with a bluey that you'll rotate and change. And I only change these if they get wet, otherwise, or really dirty. Sometimes they get sand in them, but most of the time they don't, because once the pouch is in here, everything is protected. So I'll just get a pouch. So over here we have, obviously you've got several types. So you've got the nice fluffy ones for the winter. I have a sheety one for now, or this, and obviously a cotton one for the summer. It's quite funny. The roos are quite fussy. They don't choose the ones with the sheeting in. So if you put these in, and when you've got 8 pods together and you put these in, it's quite funny which ones get used. But you will find you get 2 kangaroos in the shearing heat. They like the fluffy ones. So and if there isn't a fluffy one available, you just get 2 kangaroos in one pod. So they just make each other hot. So it is strange, but these ones they do like the sheeting. But you will find these sometimes the roos will not choose these as a first. You have to get them used to the sheets, and it might be because the sheet, if it gets wet or a bit sweaty, it stays wet, whereas this it runs through onto your bluey, and of course your bluey then holds the any water or dampness in the bluey, and so this technically stays dry. You have to be really careful in the morning, because if you don't check this properly, there are times I actually have to lift up and check the bluey, because if the bluey's wet, this can be dry. So it's the bluey that gives it away. So you really need to check. With these ones, it will always give it away because these are always wet. These stay wet. So just remember that if you've got kangaroos that do wet, to try and use either this type of material or this stuff. This made into a pouch is really good as well. It just keeps the water off them. Okay, so we're going to put this in the pouch now, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, so put your pouch in, and then just tuck it down in the corners, and especially at the back. So you are going to be using one of the larger ones, depending on what size pod you've got. And then ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to lift the pouch up, and you're just going to pop it over the top like so, and you just put it around the outer edge of that ring. And so you can see this forms a nice little tunnel in here, a nice pouch like thing. Tuck it in so that the kangaroos are not lying on creases. So this bit here is flat, nice and flat. Doesn't matter about your top, they'll soon kick that out of the way. Now, as you can see, if we leave it like this, it's looking great now, but if we leave it like this and the kangaroos jump in and they grab this bit, down it will come, and then eventually they'll go through that gap and they'll be in the pod, which you don't want them. You want this always protected. You don't want them anywhere near that woolly stuff. So you're popping this over, and this is what the ring is good for. We're going to put a piece of elastic here, and we're just going to make a circle with the elastic, tie it up, and then attach it on, and that locks this in place so that it can't be pulled down. And that is your pod all ready to go. Then in the morning, all you do is lift up, check the bottom, see if it's wet. If it's not and the pouch is good, you can rotate it slightly so that you always have a clean bit at the bottom until you know, you're happy that really it needs changing. I normally change these out every day. If the joeys are small, then obviously they're going to wee on it, so you could be changing these up to 4 times a day when they're little. But once they get to a decent size, they're still using their pods. Really, you're talking about every second day or whatever, because they jump out and go for a wee outside, which is really good. So that is what it is. These are the pods. They are absolutely brilliant. And remember that what I do is I put a piece of elastic up here, and that just holds the pod in place, and then I hook it onto the inside of their sheds, and that just basically stops them being able to squash the thing down if they jump on it. So if they jump on it, they squash it, but just look at the ring. You can see that even if they squash it, they can still actually jump back in again. So it is ideal to have these. They stand up, they are an absolute godsend, and the joeys really enjoy them, and they're in these from very young, very tiny, to really the end of their pod days, and towards their actual wilding time. So they really enjoy them. I have no stress problems because these don't tighten on them at night. So what I have found, when you've got joey in the hanging on these, then as the joeys get heavier, the bottom of these really pull tight on your joeys. Now, the only time that they are pulled tight is when the mum is going to run. So ultimately, it's a signal to say, hey, hang on, because we need to run. And so if you think of pulling your stomach muscles right in and holding them tight, that's what you're doing to your joeys all night. So you're really saying to them, ooh, you know. So I've found that you get a very stressed joey when you come to do the feeds. They're stressed. They don't want to come out of the pods. You're pulling them out almost because they're fearful. When you've got them on these, they're in these. Oh my God, to get them out, you just pull the front down, the joey's inside, and you just pop them out. They're already in their pods, and you can just feed them. And then basically you just push them to the back, and then you just put the front round. They have no stress, no problems, and they've always got a pod around them. You're not actually pulling them out of these pods. You don't actually pull them out of the liner. They're always in the liner. They've always got something covering them, which just makes a huge difference. You get really, really nice, happy joeys, non-stressed. And if you pick up a joey who's around about sort of 8 months old, so they're at that age where they know their mums, they've seen their mums, these make a huge difference, because they'll just jump into these and they'll be happy in there, and they feel safe, and that makes a difference to how they behave later on and to their stress levels. So I hope this has helped. Thank you so much, Donna, for all the work you've done putting these in. There's 30 of these that she's done for me, so absolutely fantastic. And Rocky Ridge, I'm going to donate 4 of the small ones and 4 of the big ones to you as a Christmas present, and I hope you have as much fun and happiness that I get from these pods, and I hope your little ones enjoy them. Thank you.